So let's talk about Liverpool a little bit. Obviously, Liverpool just got finished up. To be honest with you, right, the best way I can describe that Liverpool game, business as usual. And I think that's the perfect way to describe both these opening two games. Business as usual from Liverpool. Starting off where they finished off the last few years. Obviously, it's a new manager, but it's the same team. It's the same group of players. And the goals that they scored today, in my opinion, are vintage Liverpool goals. The first one, right, is vintage Liverpool under Klopp. Off a set piece, commanding win, immediately set off into transition. Jota picks up the ball. I think he does pretty well to find Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, tremendous pace, tremendous directness, really, really good finish with his left into the roof of the net. 1-0 Liverpool. I feel like I've seen that goal a trillion times under Jurgen Klopp. Like that's a Liverpool goal right there. And then the second one as well too. Luis Diaz again finds Mohamed Salah on the right, and it's a really, really classy finish for Mohamed Salah. Like, wasn't his loudest game per se. I think at times he was a little bit quiet, but that finish is just beautiful, man. Beautiful. You see a lot of the forwards in this league, right, snatch at an opportunity like that. But when those kinds of chances fall to Salah, when they typically fall to the likes of Erling Haaland, this is the caliber of player that 9 times out of 10, it's a goal, man. It's a goal. But those are just the goals, right? The goals for me are goals that we've seen throughout the years at Liverpool. But there are things that I'm witnessing from Liverpool, and I kind of pointed it out against Ipswich, but I think they were a lot more noticeable. And I would expect them game by game to kind of become more and more noticeable. Again, Liverpool just seem a lot more in control of everything the way they're playing. I mean, today, Liverpool, they completed 92% of their passes. That's the most Liverpool have completed in a game in the Premier League in 20 years. 20 years. That's insane, right? And I understand under Klopp, under Benitez, under Houllier, under Roy Hodgson, under Kenny Dalglish, but obviously the latter term that he kind of served here, that hasn't been Liverpool's MO per se, to be like an uber dominant team in possession. They've played this rock and roll style. They want to play on the last line. They want to be pressing high and winning the ball as high as possible. But Arne Slot, clearly, the impetus from him is his team wants to keep the ball and they want to be more in control than they have in previous years. Now, just like I said about United, when I said I want United to be more in control of games and people said, I don't want my team to play like Barcelona. There's different ways of making sure your team is in control. It doesn't always have to be like Pep's teams. Arne Slot is showing you that you can still be an exciting, front-footed team that plays on the counterattack, team while still being in control of football games. A game like today, Liverpool concede way more chances to Brentford, and chances are they probably go behind before they even get a goal. They probably do. That's just the Liverpool of the last 12 months. But under Arne Slot, it's only the opening few games, right? So you can't take too much away from it. But it just does feel like anytime Brentford even tried breaking or even tried creating a threat, Liverpool put out the fire before it even kind of grew. That's really the impression that I got from Liverpool, to be honest with you, man. Konate obviously starting from the front today, or starting from the first minute today over Kwanzaa. And bro, this guy is just imperious, man, honestly. I think with Konate, it's a bit of a shame really because of his injury record, that at times maybe he doesn't get the credit he deserves. But in terms of like imperiousness, there's very few center backs in the league that are as imperious as Ibrahima Konate, man. The guy's a monster, bro. The guy is a man mountain. And in the air, that was a huge part of the reason why Slot kind of brought him in on the halftime against Ipswich. He was saying they were missing a guy who was able to kind of win those balls in the air, preventing Ipswich from playing in behind. Can you blame him? The guy plays like he's 7 foot, bro. Tremendous player. The second half as well, too, right? I think Liverpool started kind of getting their groove a lot more, to be honest with you. Like, there were a few instances, there were a few attacks that Liverpool started to string that didn't necessarily result in a goal. I think Brentford, on a few occasions, kind of just got that last foot in to prevent Liverpool from scoring. But, bro, there were some slick, smooth Liverpool moves, to be honest with you. One-touch football, 1-2s, give and go. McAllister, I think in the second half, really started to grow in the game. He was kind of at the heart of a few of those attacks. On one occasion, he played this tremendous pass in behind to Trent, who kind of tried playing it back into play, and Brentford, again, just got a foot on it. There was one occasion where Salah is cutting in from the right, 1-2 with Szoboszlai, 1-2 with, who was it? Maybe, I can't remember who the last person was. Plays it back to McAllister. McAllister tries playing Salah back in behind, just gets a foot on it. But Liverpool really out at in the second half started to get their flow. And this is a team, again, I bring it up every single time I speak about them. Quality that they have in attack is rivaled by very few teams in this league, if any, bar maybe Man City. The amount of options that they have to call upon, and also the different kinds of profiles that they have to call upon. Luis Diaz, a 1v1 kind of guy, who also likes to play in behind, don't get it twisted. Jota, this sharpshooter up front. Mohamed Salah, who at this point is like the ultimate attacker, can create, can run in behind, can take on his man. We haven't really seen even too much of Gakpo and Nunez, who kind of bring something in their own right to the equation. They're unique profiles individually. Obviously, the big test will come next weekend. Man United at Old Trafford. And laugh if you want. Oh, Man United, that's not a big test anymore. Every Liverpool fan will say it. Every United fan will say it. When this game comes up on the calendar, form goes out the window, quality goes out the window. It's a dogfight. It is. So it's going to be a real test for Ten Hag and United and for Liverpool and Arne Slot. And that's not to say take every single thing that you can from those games and write their seasons off based on that. But it's the first major test for both these teams. The first major test. One thing I kind of noticed at the end, not to bring too much attention on it, but was Trent, right? Trent played a good game, by the way, right? I think Trent really played as like an out-and-out right back today. Not in terms of like, okay, he's playing like Gary Neville per se, but like you've seen in the last 12 months under Klopp, I think Trent has really been experimenting this role where he inverts a whole lot more and, I don't know, helps control the game. But today, if you look at his heat map, today, if you look at his heat map and if you look at the areas where he's taking most of his touches, it's really in those wide, traditional fullback areas. And of course, he has the license to kind of bomb up and down the pitch. But I think today, you really saw Trent playing as much more of a traditional attacking fullback than you have in the last 12 to 18 months, where really he was kind of playing as a guy who played a lot more centrally and had full creative freedom to basically, I don't know, gain a numerical advantage in midfield. That's not to say it hurt his game because Trent was absolutely terrific today. But the thing I wanted to bring up was Trent was brought off after 20 minutes today. The game was kind of wrapped up, like fair enough. But you look at his reaction on the bench. It's not the greatest if you're a Liverpool fan hoping that Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to stay at the club. This is a guy that has a year left on his contract, still has to this point failed to sign an extension. He is the vice captain, but a move to Real Madrid has kind of been murmured. Nothing is official, but those are definitely like in the water. And I can't lie, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm maybe a little concerned about his reaction. Obviously, every player is upset to come off, especially the way he was playing, the way the team was playing. I'm sure he would have loved to play the full 90 and maybe get himself on the score sheet or maybe get an assist. But then you look 20 minutes later when the game is over and he still kind of has like that annoyed look on his face. Arne Slot even came up to him on the bench and tried like speaking to him. Just didn't really look interested. So obviously, let's not make too much out of maybe what's to this point a nothing situation. But want to keep an eye out this year for sure, man. For sure. I would say for your vice captain, that's maybe not the best thing that you want to be looking at. But also on the flip side, right, if you're looking at it a different way, it's understandable. No player wants to kind of leave the pitch 20 minutes in when they feel like they're playing well. But we move. We'll see what kind of happens with Trent. We'll see what happens with Liverpool. But again, a very, very convincing performance from Liverpool, man. Honestly, new manager, but it doesn't really feel like there's any like growing pains, which you sometimes do see with a new manager, especially when he's replacing somebody who's been at the club for so long and was such a massive influence on that club. You look at how difficult it was for Moyes to replace Fergie. You look at how difficult it was for Unai Emery to replace Wenger. Obviously, again, early days, but to this point, it looks like Arne Slot has really found life at Liverpool in these early days. Pretty easy to settle in and kind of start to implement the early seeds of the way he wants his team to play. So Liverpool, I'm impressed. Luis Diaz, let's talk about him, right? Again, I spoke about it last week. And I'm not going to make this a whole point again, because if you saw the video, you know what I'm going to say. For me, today is, again, another example of why I feel like this guy is overhated, bro. I feel like this guy is super overhated. Why does everybody act, or not everybody, right? But I see a large section of Liverpool's fan base clamoring for the club to sign a new left winger, sell Luis Diaz to Barcelona. This guy's washed. This guy's crap. Again, I'm not delusional. I don't think this guy is Neymar per se, right? He has flaws in his game. He is at times wasteful. He is inconsistent. He isn't as clinical in front of goal as sometimes you'd like, but he brings a lot to this team, man. Honestly, he brings a lot to this team in terms of his work rate, his tenacity, his positivity. And we're going to act like this guy all of a sudden has no production to his game whatsoever. Really well taken goal. Really well placed pass to Salah today. And then again, for me, it shows Luis Diaz has a part to play for Liverpool this season. Say what you want about it. I'm sure it's not the first time that Liverpool fans are going to complain about him. It won't be the last either. But like I said last week, be careful what you wish for sometimes. Because trust me, you can do a lot worse than Luis Diaz as one of your 5 attacking options. We're just seeing Gakpo back in the team. Darwin Núñez playing his first minutes of the season. Diaz has started off brilliantly. Jota looks fit, and if he can stay fit, he can be a big part of this Liverpool team. And Salah is Salah, as we know. All I'm saying is you guys, for me, are spoiled for options up front. Just be careful what you wish for, because honestly, I'll say it again, you could do a whole lot worse than Luis Diaz on the left, man. That's my take on it. I think Gravenberch has done well these first 2 games. I don't think, for me, is it a long-term solution for Liverpool. I'm yet to be convinced. I think he can do a job there for sure. He's a good player. He's an athletic guy. Like there's no reason why he should be awful in a holding midfield role. But I do also think maybe it kind of takes away from his ability, which we do know he's very good at carrying the ball forward. And I think, look, if the choice is between Gravenberch as a DM or like an actual specialist in that position, every Liverpool fan should prefer the latter. But if they aren't to sign an established, ready-made, premier level defensive midfielder this window, then I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, man. And especially when you kind of have him, you have Endo as an option there. McAllister has proven he can play deep. Look, it's not ideal. You'd obviously want somebody else there. But again, those aren't the worst options in the world to have. That's kind of the way I see it, man.